There are important activities that are not urgent, but you know that they're important in your life because they're going to move your career forward, your business forward, your joy, your fulfillment forward, but you're still not getting them done because your days are slipping away on you. And a day that becomes a blur turns into a week that's a blur, that's a month, that's a year. And then all of a sudden you look back and it's the last 6 months, and the thing that you set out to do isn't getting done. This it happens because your life, which you're already successful and you're busy and you've got a million things to be done and it's all coming at you, it's by default, right? You've had perhaps decades of going about your day to day in a certain way, and my challenge to you is to start designing your life so that you can create a life that you love, where you feel a sense of peace and control and are really putting things into your life that are fulfilling and reach you and make you feel joyful. Now, this is especially important if you are someone who has some sort of a physical limitation. So for me, it's chronic nerve pain. It could be an autoimmune disorder, some sort of a treatment that you're going through, or a condition, some sort of a limitation. And I find that when you have something that says, wait a second, I can't keep going this way. I can't keep, just being busy, busy, busy and reacting and, having my days be a blur and deal with that thing. That's when you really, really need to have some extra strategies to design your life and not do it by default. And so there are really three reasons that I believe that we end up having these days that become a blur. And part of it is like you just don't want it enough, right? What are the things that you're missing? And there's something, but you haven't clearly identified what it is. Then it's just as simple as you're doing other things that are less important, or maybe they feel really important, but they really aren't. And the last reason is because you haven't made them easy enough to do. And so I want to break these down and just give you some really super simple strategies on how to deal with it. But just gut check right now. Would you think that there are things that you keep putting off? You have them in the important but not urgent category, and like they've been on your list for 6 months, right? Is it because you really don't actually care about it, want it, believe it's important, etc.? Is it because you're just too busy doing other things and you legitimately are running out of time? Or is it because you just don't know how to get started, or it just feels so big? Just gut check. What do you think is the most important? And then we will work through some really simple strategies for each one of these. All right, so let's start with the idea around it being, a second here, just not what you really want. And here's the thing. So in the Live Your Best Life Club, one of the initial tasks is we have to figure out, like, what is your best life? And the challenge when I have this conversation with a lot of my clients is they filter it through the lens of their adulting responsibilities, the people who are already counting on them, the way that they've been running their business. And they put it through this filter of, I'm already too busy to get anything done. So why do I want to have that dream of what it should be? And so I'm going to challenge you to just get rid of that filter for a minute and look and say, what is it that I actually want? And if there's a sense of feeling like something is lacking or out of control, or you're not getting the things done, like, be as specific as you possibly can. And inside the Live Your Best Life Club, there is a masterclass on problem solving. And you can see in there why it's so important to get absolutely hyper specific about exactly what problem you're trying to solve so that we can actually solve it. But if there's anything that you're like, I should do this, right? Like, I should be on social media more. I should be doing sales more. I should be spending more time with my family, spending more time with my friends. I should be working out more. Like, I can think of all the different shoulds. But often those shoulds are other people's expectations and not actually your own, right? Like, even with sales, like, I know that would be one of mine, right? Like, I should do more proactive sales. And I'm like, yeah, but most of my work has comes to me not by doing proactive outreach, but by people seeing my videos or hearing me speak at a conference and then running their own conference or knowing somebody who is and recommending me. So a lot of the time, like I used to have this thing, like I got to do the proactive sales. And I'm like, you know what, Ellie, like stop putting that pressure on myself and then feeling like it's a thing that is hanging out over here and draining my mental capacity, and look and say, okay, what part of the sales do I really want to do? Well, I got to be sure that it's easy for somebody to make a referral or to recommend me or to get in front of more people. So it's just looking at that and being really, really clear. And if you don't know what you want, then please take pen to paper and get to it and make a list. All right. And I call this your bliss list. I've had clients in the past where we've actually freed up a lot of their time and we streamline their systems. And then all of a sudden they've got all this time on their hands and they don't actually even know what they're going to do with it. It's like, and then they end up working. And it's like, well, why are you doing working when we worked so hard to get you time off so you could actually have a life? And it's like, well, I don't even know what I want to do. Well, start by creating that bliss list. So if you have an extra hour in your day, if you have that time and that capacity to do something, you actually just go to the list and you pull it out and you go, I'm going to go do that thing right now. I'm going to go to a matinee in the middle of the week, whatever it is. So let's talk about the next. And this, I'm actually going to use a whiteboard to illustrate this. Because what we're talking about here is very much you're doing other less important activities. And they often on the surface feel really important, but it doesn't necessarily mean they are. So let's look at this. And this is the capacity equation. This is design versus default. So imagine your day, and this is all the energy you have to do, to think, to feel, and to be, right? Like just your essence, your habits, all of that. And it all goes in here. And there are millions of different things and ways. And we're going to put each of these, imagine it's a task or a thought or a activity that can consume your limited resources. Now, all these things to do, there are two ways to put them into our capacity for our day. One is other people can throw them in and you just end up with all this stuff you got to do, and it's sort of willy-nilly, and it's like, you know, often other people's opinions or expectations, and it's going through. Or, and that, by the way, is living on default. That's like, I did it last year this way, I'm doing it this year this way. It's just how you exist. Okay. Now, the other way is by design. So no longer do you just let things come in willy-nilly. You actually think to yourself, what do I want to do? And you strategically place these people, these pieces, and sometimes they're people, your interactions with people, in your capacity cylinder, AKA into your day, in a very formulaic, strategic way that best serves your priorities and your goals. Because if we're just waiting for other people to throw things in, what happens is it's so willy-nilly, and it, you know, like my client, I remember one client, she's like, no, mine are like just like everywhere. They're so all over the place, like all these things we've got to do. And it's coming in and you just feel like you can't breathe. Well, if we're more strategic about how we're putting them into our day, we don't even need to delete any of them. You know, so often people say just delete them. We don't necessarily have to delete them. If somebody says, hey, can you help me with this thing? You can still say yes. But like, what's the timeline for doing that? Right? What is the deadline? And how do you want to see that happen in your day? Okay, so that's the difference between design versus default. So when you look at your days, it's, are you placing all that stuff in your cylinder, or are other people doing it? And if you're not strategic about how you're filling your cylinder, your capacity cylinder, that's when we run into a problem. So what do we do with this? Well, first of all, there are a lot of designing things. You may want to check out my program called Take Back Your Time. It was originally the Take Back Your Weekends, and how do you stress less, do more, be happier. And it shares the actual full system. But here are a few really key priorities. Number one, got to figure out when you do your best work. For me, it's first thing in the morning. That means I don't take meetings first thing in the morning. Okay. I am 100% like, unless it's absolutely a client thing or I've got to be traveling for a keynote or something, it's like that is my protected gold time. Because I know that if in first thing in the morning I can get my writing done or my strategic work done or whatever it needs to be, I then can like look up at 10 o'clock in the morning and go, oh my gosh, I've already had a fulfilling day. I've already gotten the priorities done. And now what do I need to do? How does the rest of the day unfold? Okay. So that is number one. Second thing is you've got to figure out what hats are you wearing? What are your different roles and responsibilities and how are you showing up in the world? And if I were, so when you think about those hats, like for me as a solopreneur, speaker, etc., I have, my marketing and my sales, as we mentioned earlier, marketing, sales, client work, and creative, admin, personal, etc. And I have people on the team who can help me out, of course. But each of those hats requires a different part of my brain. And if I try to wear both hats at the same time, two different hats at the same time, or switch between hats like all the time, like, oh, I'm going to do this call and I'm going to do this call and I'm going to go, it's like, when do we get overwhelmed and confused? Instead, we want to be sure that we are being strategic about how we're using each of those hats. All right. Now that capacity design. So when are you going to do it? Now, I like to block out my work week and I never have the same week twice. And I know there are people who say, I'm going to do this every morning, like Tuesday morning, I'm going to do all of my outreach or my coaching calls or whatever it is. But then all of a sudden you have a client who needs you on a Wednesday, right? And it's like, okay, well now I've failed at that thing. So a couple of ways we can look at this. If you decide over the course of a week, I need to get this done, this done, this done, this done. Then based on your meetings, based on your appointments, based on your workflow and every other commitment you have, you can actually put them in like a little game of Tetris, right? Into the right time for that day. And I am going to encourage you to time block your calendar based on the hat you're wearing, AKA the area of responsibility, versus the task that needs to be done. Okay. So if I know my writing is best in the morning, then that falls under the marketing, which means I'm wearing my marketing hat in the morning, which means that time is protected. But some days I'm going to do a video. Some days I'm going to do an article that needs to be written for a magazine, or it's got to be, the lift up's got to go out, and that can change every week based on what the priorities are. But I know that the marketing hat or that creative content is going to get done at that time, right? So give yourself the flexibility with that, because I've seen people say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym in the morning, and then they wake up late and they don't get to go to the gym. And then they're like, well, I'm going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Well, no. What if you just said by the end of the week, I'm going to work out 5 times? And maybe one day that's in the morning, maybe one day it's in the afternoon, maybe one day it's in the middle of the day, like wherever it happens to fall. Okay. Or it's like when I used to do all the challenges with 75 hard, it was like 9 o'clock at night. And it's like, oh gosh, I still have a workout to go. I got 45 minutes to dial in, and I'd, put on a video and do 45 minutes of just easy working out to make it work. So that is also a possibility. All right. So those are just some ideas about how do you really do that. Now, if we look at the third reason, so we've got, you don't really want it enough, or you don't know what you want to have. So we talked about that. You're doing other less important activities, reactive versus designing. And again, it's like you may think some of those things are reactive or important. They really aren't. If something's stealing your time, gotta ask yourself, like, who's putting that in my calendar, and do I really want it there? And if you don't, you know what? You're the boss of you. You can figure out a way to do it, or delegate it, or streamline it so it takes up less of your bandwidth. which leads to the next thing. Third reason you're not getting your priorities done is because they feel huge, right? I'm going to get in shape feels huge versus I'm going to go to the gym. Or I am going to publish a YouTube channel. I'm going to really go all in on publishing a YouTube channel. Well, that's a lot, but figuring out the exact channel strategy, or what are the different videos I need to film, and what are the questions I'm going to ask, and what is my avatar asking, and doing the research, like all of those little itty bitty bits are very doable. And when you come up with the small goals and zoom in to those big things that feel huge, it's like one little itty bitty step at a time. That is how you get going on it, because then when you buy back 5 minutes over here, have 15 extra minutes in your capacity design by playing your Tetris game a little bit more strategically, then you can move towards that bigger priority, because there are all these little itty bitty bits that actually will need to be done. And you can be like, oh, that's only going to take me 10 minutes. Click. That's going to take me 15. Click. That's a lot easier than I'm going to do the whole shebang. All right. So that's that concept of like zooming in. I'm doing this because it's like, don't you want to just have an iPad for life? It's like, get in. So that's the concept of reframing and not looking at the whole, and instead like looking at the little itty bitty bit of bits. That makes it easier. The other thing is, I will challenge your systems. If it feels hard to get a priority done and you've got that on your list for a really long time, I'm going to guess you don't know how to do it. And therefore you need some help, and you need a consultant or a coach, or to hire an expert, or to come into the Live Your Best Life Club and pose the question. Okay. Because you don't know what to do. Or what, kind of goes back to the original, which is like, you really don't want enough. So you don't really care. And you're just having it there holding over your head as if it's a thing that you really are one day going to do. And you're into should mode. Or you're looking at the whole, not making it easy enough, or your systems are complicating it. Like it, and then why would you want to do it if you're totally complicating it and it feels heavy and it's too much? So sometimes you got to like sit down and go, is there a better way? And in this day and age, there's absolutely no excuse for not finding the better way, because you can ask ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini or any one of the plethora of AIs out there and say, I'm doing it this way. Is there a better way out in the market? And it'll probably tell you, yes, there is. And here's what you can do. Because if you can take an hour, like a task that takes you an hour right now, and you hate it and it drains your energy because you just like, slogging, and you can put a system in that will shrink the amount of effort it takes from your capacity equation. Wow. Talk about buying back your time. Yeah, that's worth the extra effort. So there you go. I think if you did any of those little tips that I just gave you that are super duper simple, you can add more bandwidth into your day to actually work on the priorities. Because your priorities, if you really, 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 truly want them, then you've got to prioritize them. And so often people are just living on default and the world is a blur and they're not getting it done. And then they come to me and they're like, yeah, it's been 3 weeks and I didn't make any movement on that. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's figure out how to get it done. And that's what the Live Your Best Life Club is all about. So if you are not actively participating, I encourage you to come and join us. I mean, membership is free, but it is absolutely immeasurable, the value that you'll get out of it. So super happy that you are here. And my hope for you is that you will live your life by design, not by default, and you will stress less while achieving more and be happier while you're doing it.